Well, a year ago, Hurricane Maria slammed Puerto Rico. The hurricane hit the island with sustained winds of 155 miles an hour.
It ruined the electrical grid, leaving people powerless for months, and caused an estimated $100 billion in damage. But even worse, it's now linked to 3,000 deaths. That's according to research that was done later by George Washington University. CBS News correspondent David Begnaud was in Puerto Rico when the storm made landfall and has been back time and again covering the events and recovery there all year. He joins us now to talk about his documentary, Puerto Rico, The Exodus After Hurricane Maria. It airs on our streaming news service on Sunday, CBSN.
David Begnaud, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Liam and Paula, thank you for having me in Boston. Hi, everyone.
David, you estimate you've been there maybe a dozen times. What is happening on the ground right now as they try to rebuild a year later?
It seems to just be a cascade of issues. There are people who are still waiting on the insurance companies to pay out. The governor is threatening to tell insurance companies, you can't operate on this island if you don't start paying these people. You've got 60,000 homes that are still covered in blue tarps. What's taking so long, right?
Let's just talk about this right now. It's estimated nearly half of the people who have left so far are under 24 years old. Of course, you need that demographic anywhere just to be a labor force. First of all, why do people tell you they are fleeing? And are some of them choosing to stay?
Why do people leave? Because they feel so desperate. In our documentary, you'll hear from Damaris. And Damaris is a single mom. She's got a daughter named Elia who's adorable. But Damaris decided after 10 months of the hurricane, it was worth it to leave an elderly mother and a bedridden father to go to Orlando, where she had no job lined up, no school picked out for Elia, only a room that a friend was offering. And that was worth it to her, because it was that bad on the island that she thought, I got to leave. And at the end of the day, guys, look, Paula and Liam, if that keeps happening, it threatens to change the face of Puerto Rico forever.
Let's talk about FEMA for a minute, because one of the things that you have done is continually ask FEMA officials for explanations. They have admitted to you, and people will see this in the documentary, that they were late getting supplies to the island. And one of the statistics that you talk about is staggering, that 1.1 million people requested FEMA aid, but 58% were denied. But you say this is a complicated number to look at. What happened in those requests and the kind of aid people got?
You know, it's easy to beat up on FEMA, but the context is, well, a lot of people can't prove that they live there. They can't prove that it's their house. Maybe they've been living with their mama, something like that, right? There are other issues that FEMA has admitted, right? Half the workforce they sent to Puerto Rico was not adequately trained. Half the workforce, right?
And they didn't have a single tarp on the island before the storm hit.
Not one. I remember sitting across from Mike Byrne, and you'll see this in the documentary. You know, he's saying that, you know, we've never before fed more people or provided more water than we did in Puerto Rico and all this kind of stuff. And I said, Mike, I get it. I said, you didn't have one tarp. Not one tarp in a warehouse. Now, context, you know, I always want to give you context. Hurricane Irma made landfall 2 weeks before, devastated the Virgin Islands. A lot of the resources got sent there. But at the end of the day, not one tarp. Not one.
And one of the other numbers that sticks out, David, is of the people who did get a FEMA grant, the median grant, this is according to New York Times statistics, was $1,800. The median grant to victims of Hurricane Harvey on the mainland of the United States was close to $10,000. When you talk to people down in Puerto Rico, you have the president denying the death toll figures of 3,000 deaths as a result of this, and then you have that disparity in the grant. What's the feeling on the ground there about whether or not they're being treated fairly as Americans?
Let me tell you what I get. Not surprised. Not surprised. Not surprised Harvey's getting more than us. Not surprised Harvey got more resources than us for a myriad of reasons, guys. One of them being it's easier to get resources to Houston. Not as hard to get it to an island. Okay, we get that. But at the end of the day, I remember Jeffrey Buchanan, the general who led the federal troops in Puerto Rico, sitting down with me and really being reflective. And I was sort of hammering him on the slow response. And nobody likes to admit a slow response. And I'll never forget, he said to me, you know what, David? I could have parachuted men out of airplanes, just like I did in Baghdad. And maybe I should have done it. And I thought that was one of the most honest responses that I got from anybody who had any authority on the island.
I'm curious about the death toll question. When the president sent out that tweet saying that he found it hard to believe that the number jumped from 68 to 3,000 after the George Washington study, What did people in Puerto Rico tell you in reaction to that?
They were incensed. They were incensed. Listen, I've watched Puerto Ricans react to the president throwing paper towels, handing out flashlights, saying you don't need this, whether he was joking or not. There was something about that death toll that was a final straw for people.
As part of this documentary, David, you were there as a family finally got their power back, and for so many it was so long.
Yeah.
This was quite an emotional event. Let's take a look at the clip, and then I want to get your reaction.
Lights and energy. Hello. Hello.
Benito.
Lights.
Muy bien. Hicieron bastante por la humanidad aquí.
How do you react, David, to when you were there to see that?
I'm smiling because I remember driving to Mr. Benito's house. He lives at the top of a mountain. I mean, we made circles just to get there for nearly an hour. And that man never complained once. Never once did he complain that he went without power for 10 months and was one of the last to get it.
People even now a year later who have been paying attention, they want to know still what they can do to help at this point. What would be the most helpful thing to do? Is it tourism on the island? Is it just donating money?
What I think our obligation is right now is to make sure that we listen, that we acknowledge, and that we follow what's going on there, because they need attention more than anything.
And in fact, Puerto Rico, the exodus after Hurricane Maria, is a CBSN original. It's going to air, as David was saying, on CBSN. This is the CBS News digital streaming channel this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. David Begnaud, thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing down there to keep people informed about what's happening.
Thank you, David.
You both have been a very important part of keeping this story in the news, so I thank you.